as far as getting them back to the table?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I listen to politicians a lot, a lot of sound. I like listening to the generals. The generals war game this stuff. They know it inside and out. And when the generals are saying, listen, when you start blockading the Gulf of Oman and you're not letting these Iranian ships out, it's one, draining the funds, right? So as you said, $100 million a day at the very least. The estimates could be higher than that. But the big detrimental thing for Iran is that after a while, after 13 days, 17 days, not only are you not having those ships going out making any money at all, but you can't put oil anywhere. They run out of places to put the oil, so then you have to consider shutting down the oil wells themselves, and it becomes a huge detriment when you're talking about the economy as well as the infrastructure for the oil, and that becomes a problem. So you can see where the Iranians are like, maybe it's time we get back to the table and work a deal on it.
I listen to the Democrats, and it depends, but most of them kind of stick to the talking points, the prices that people feel here, the gas prices, the fact that this wasn't really thought out is really what they talk about. But there's a chance that they could shoot the gap here and that they get a deal with the Iranians. And then what?
Well, and then the Democrats kind of have to pivot to how this impacts people domestically and what the harms have been leading up to this point. Look, we had a fourth failed vote with the War Powers Resolution, and there are a lot of people within the Democratic base that are saying, what else can we do? Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is kind of saying we can't do much else. We really have to hold them to the vote on that one end. And on the second, we have to figure out what the end game date is. And Democrats, really, that is their point of pressure there.
There is a hunger on the Republican side, too, Caroline, for an end date, because they know the longer this goes, the more it threatens the political standing ahead of the midterms.
Yes, so I mean, at the beginning of this war, the Strait of Hormuz was open, and now it's, closed, then open, then closed again. Most Americans aren't waking up every day going, is the strait open or closed? But they are aware that we are in a war. And China wants to see us stay as long as possible. Iran would like to see the U.S. stay as long as possible. But we have to define what a win looks like for us, and what a win looks like for the president politically is getting out of this war as soon as possible. There's a segment of the president's base that will stay with him regardless of if the strait is open or closed. But for everybody else, the moderates, the independents, the young men, the Arab Americans in Michigan, I hear from them constantly, we have to get out of this conflict and end it now, and the president can get that political win back. But that window's closing.
There's also this political frustration, Trace, about if we're producing all this oil and natural gas, why do we have the international prices, tied to it? And I had experts on last night